What's up guys, Ben here bringing another video today. I'm recording this on Sunday afternoon and we've gotten news about Optic, Texas's fourth. We've got it confirmed, at least for the time being, as well as news about the player they tried to pick up. Let's talk about both things and what all of it means for all of the parties involved over the news and roster mania stuff over the last few weeks. So Saturday night, we got news via CDL Intel, obviously the rare Chrome bomb we get these days, that unfortunately the Pred to Optic deal fell through. Both teams were working on this deal for a while. My sources confirm as well that a lot of actions happened, especially in the last few weeks. But although Optic did come back with a pretty large bid for his services, Seattle did turn that down. And so for now, Pred is staying on Seattle. I think for Seattle, this is an opportunity to keep this project going for at least another couple of months. Obviously, they could sell them down the road, but it keeps the CDL project together for a while. And then in the offseason, we will see what happens. Pred will be a free agent. I don't think he's going to sign an extension before then. And there will likely be multiple suitors, Seattle included, going for his services. So I think Pred's due for a big paycheck over the summer. I think for the team itself, I think they're going to deal with this in a pretty professional fashion. We know kind of the house that Lamar tries to run. Same with Sam Phoenix, Revan there as well. I think the players will kind of deal with this in a professional manner. Now, if Seattle struggles in its upcoming major, I would assume that has less to do with the Pred stuff and more with the fact that this team has always been pretty inconsistent major cycle to major cycle. Obviously major one, they were pretty far ahead and did a good job making it deep in that tournament. But if they come back to like a top 6, top 8 landing spot, I won't be too surprised because this sort of swing has been kind of commonplace with their team, at least dating back to last season. But I still expect them to be good throughout the year and probably be one of your contenders going into champs. Now for Optic Texas, they ended up locking in their fourth after Pred's move obviously fell through. And they tweeted out pretty much around lunchtime today that XEO is back and that Huke has joined Optic. Now, for those that maybe are just kind of tuning back in, Huke was on Los Angeles Guerrillas at the beginning of the season. They did not play well in Major 1. In fact, they were pretty terrible. And Kyler managed to get LAG to collectively mutually agree to terminate the contract. So he was no longer attached to the org. He was a full free agent. So this is a pretty easy move then for Optic Texas. No buyout required. Just get him signed to a contract. And as you may know, when we talk about XEO and you see kind of the tweet here from Ender, iLLeY, Shotzi, and Huke teamed together on Modern Warfare 2019 on Dallas Empire along with Clayster and Crim6. And that team was very good. Obviously, they got off to a little bit of a rocky start. And then once they kind of shuffled their roles, they end up being probably one of the best teams in the game. They won the last LAN event before COVID, winning the LA home series. They were kind of a little bit up and down, but the Modern Warfare 2019 event format was so funky. If y'all remember, with not all teams playing every event, it was super weird. But anyway, at the tournament that mattered at the end of the season, Dallas did win. So this team has won a ring before. Obviously, you may also know that at that time, Rambo Ray was the coach of that team. So there's a lot of experience with Kyler. They play with him. Obviously, there's also the part where they did drop him at one point during the Cold War season and sent him to Thieves. So they've kind of had some good times. They've had some bad times and he's gotten dropped. So they kind of know what they're getting with Kyler. I think for me off the bat, I don't mind this move. They didn't exactly have a lot of great options. To give you an example, I was joking around on my stream earlier today and we just kind of did this exercise of who could you pick up? And we look at players that are actually accessible to pick up that are free agents or challengers players. It's not that great of a list. So them going and picking up Kyler to me was a pretty easy option and is really low risk, high reward, right? If he doesn't work, and we'll talk about his downsides in a second, you've got him really for one event and then you can kind of move on from him because he didn't really pay a buyout. There's no massive sunk costs other than whatever salary you're covering there. So I think it was, when you kind of do all of the math, when you lay out all the options in the list, it's probably the easiest option for them to do. Now, as much as I like Kyler, let's talk about pros and cons when it relates to him. Kyler is very talented. We have seen sort of at his best, he is a game changer, takeover player, an absolute force on the map. I'm counting back towards Major 2 last year, when he was playing phenomenal, especially in those series against FaZe. At the end of that event, Kyler can be that player. Where Kyler has gotten trouble in the last couple of teams that he has been on is that the decision-making and the slaying sometimes hasn't consistently been there. I think where he got in trouble a lot, specifically on the LAG team we're talking about last season, is I saw a lot of situations where, he would come off a spawn and not really do the right things that are being asked of their system. He's kind of just overloading the wrong lane, not picking up the pinch, especially in this game that right now in Hardpoint really punishes you if you don't block the back, if you don't make the right moves, if you don't fill lanes the way you need to. I really hope that Kyler kind of overcomes those issues. Otherwise, they're going to have a little bit of inconsistency and difficult because he's not really going to fit within the system they're trying to play. But I think overall, like in terms of options, you know, to get a second sub next to Ann, and we'll talk about what this means for Seth in a second, it's not a bad move. I think develop Kyler, see what he can do over the next couple of weeks. If it works and he's back in that form, well, now you've got an interesting decision on what you want to do going forward. But if it doesn't work, you can always make other changes. To finish this video, let's talk about for Optic what it means for iLLeY and Scump, who are going to probably have to face role changes on this team. iLLeY's one's probably the easiest. He's going to move to probably more of a slower AR role. We call it main AR. I don't know in this game necessarily if every team has a quote unquote like main AR. It's really going to be the one that's not really going to be pulling out the sub at all. And I think this is a bit of a question mark for Ender because I think that he can kind of do the basics of this role, staying alive, playing the back, playing a little bit slower. I think he can probably do it. I just am a little concerned that his slaying power is not really going to match up some of the other ARs when it comes to cross-map gunfights and kind of dealing with getting kind of pushed out in a way that other ARs who are really good at staying alive. It's going to be adjustment for him. I think this is definitely a question mark on the team. I don't know if Ender is going to be the one that will be their long-term solution at main AR. And it's going to be one to watch. If he can do it, great, because I think Ender's a dynamic player. And to be honest, in S&D now, it's going to make a lot more sense because he's been their sniper recently. And so then, you know, when you're running a sniper now, you have Seth as an AR in hand, Kyler and Ant as subs, unless they're running, you know, 2 subs in S&D, or 2 ARs in S&D rather. It makes a lot more sense. But anyway, Ender main AR definitely a question mark on my end. As for Seth, I think him moving to flex might actually be his best role in this team. He's going to be able to use the gun he wants. If they want to try and force the 3 subs, great. If he wants to run that AR in a lot of situations, great. Like, I actually think this is going to set him up best for success and not having to really put as much pressure because Kyler and Ant are going to do it for him. So I think Seth's going to be set up to put some massive numbers on. So if you're looking at picking him up in like Breaking Point Fantasy or something, he might put up some crazy numbers in this major. So that's the role swaps. I said that was the last thing to talk about, but now as we talk through it, there's one more thing we got to talk about, and that's what happens with Dashy. At the moment, I think he's just kind of riding the pine, probably working on his game. We'll see if he wants to play challengers or not. His future is probably somewhere off this roster. I don't know if Optic's going to make that decision before Major 2, but I do think there'll be suitors for him after Major 2. So as far as him going to another team, I don't think we're going to get a resolution on that one until later on in February, once we've gotten past the Major 2 cycle. Optic's more in line on what they want to do if they need to make further roster changes and more suitors, because I don't really know if there are any kind of surface in terms of where Brandon can land the rest of the season. Obviously, it's a tough way to part with him. He's been such a important piece, I think a part of the Optic fan base, but they felt it was necessary to make a change, and we'll find out from the Optic guys exactly what went down there. So yeah, that's a quick update for you guys. Let me know what you guys think of the change in the comments. Do you like it? Do you hate it? I know I'm doing a little bit of like Anthony Fantano thing there, but it is what it is. If you enjoyed the video, smash that like button, subscribe for more, and guys, we'll see you in the next one, especially next week when we recap this Challengers Cup and preview the matches coming up. We were talking about Optic. Their next match is against Boston on Sunday, but we have other matches coming Friday and Saturday. We'll break those down in future videos this week. Stay tuned for that, and we'll see you guys on the next one.